Hello, Mr. Stepanenko, and I hope I'm pronouncing it all right. And thank you for accepting this interview. As I said in my email, the point of the interview is to present your work with the journal Sociology to our donators, to our team, and to our scientific committee. So if you could give us a more or less short presentation of your work with the journals and your activity at the present time.
Yeah, sure. I'm editor-in-chief of a journal called Sociology, Theory, Methods, and Marketing. This journal was founded in 1998, so it's more than 20, just about 25 years already. So I would say this is the major or main principal academic journal, sociological journal in Ukraine. So the idea of creation of foundation of a journal was just to make a leading academic journal for Ukrainian sociologists, but idea was also not so narrow, and we tried to cover all former post-Soviet space of former Soviet Union. So previously a lot of communication and links were with Russian colleagues, with colleagues from former Soviet Union. So it was sort of international scope of the journal in this way, because the process of internalization at that time was, I would say this was limited, mostly limited by territory of post-Soviet Union, Soviet Union, and also surely we used to have very strong communication with Hungarian, Polish students and sociologists. So it's mostly neighboring country and mostly Ukraine. The publisher of the journal, just the main organization who initiate its journal and its foundation, it's Institute of Sociology of National of Science of Ukraine. So Institute of Sociology, this is research institute. We are not supposed to teach. It's sort of research institute, so people here is dedicated to research, and we are doing both theoretical and empirical research in sociology. So this academic institute, it's a bit complicated to explain to a Western audience, because you have not similarity, but maybe it's sort of similar would be to say that academy institute in your reality is something as a research unit at the university. For example, university teach the students, have an audience, but at the same time, the lecturers and professor could have some research, and they have some unit who mostly involved in poor research, academic work. So they're doing some survey, they conducting survey polls, they doing academic stuff. So that's the idea. So because of that, the main scope of our offers are the researchers of Institute of Sociology, because it was the idea that we should have some sort of journal which would present the result of our work. And surely we are open to all sociological community in Ukraine, but not only Ukraine. Now, just with the process of internalization, Ukraine is now quite actively involved in international exchange, educational research exchange. So we have now some even requests to internalize somehow our editorial board of a journal. So we invite a lot of, not a lot, but at least a half of our members of editorial boards are foreign researchers. For example, we have in our boards Michel Gigorka. This is quite a famous French sociologist, and he is director of the school École Économique, as I remember. So he's quite a famous French sociologist and social scientist. Also, we have in our board internationally recognized figures, Jeffrey Alexander from the United States, some others, good sociologists and authoritative sociologists. But unfortunately, we're still mostly concentrated in our audience because it's also difficulties in language. And even for we publish usually 2-3 papers per issue in English, where the issue is mostly in Ukrainian and also, but before the war, it was also we have a Russian version. So we have both versions in Russian and Ukrainian, but only Ukrainian was printed version. But we used to have before the war also Russian translated version of the journal in digital format as a PDF format. And actually, we are accepting the papers from the office in 3 main languages. This is Ukrainian, Russian, and English. And if somebody would, of course, foreigners, they would use their own language, but actually we would, in this case, we would have difficulties in translating. It's additional money, so it's a bit complicated for us. So we ask all the foreigners, even for where language, where English is not native, to translate and present their papers and articles for sending, for submitting to the journal in English. So that's the main story. Actually, now we actively trying to get some internationally recognized metrics as a Scopus status or Web of Science status, and we even made a trial for submitting for Scopus title in last year. But unfortunately, we got a negative response from that, and most the major point of where negative mark for us were the low coverage of internationally recognized issues, narrow scope of authors involved in publication, and also small percentage of paper published in English, and just low citation in our journal recognized by Scopus. So if you would be interested in more detail, I would send you that full detailed list of their recommendation, but I just already mentioned the main. So for us is also now the challenge somehow to adjust to this situation, particularly facing the war. Just this war is also associated with many logistic and financial difficulties for journal. For example, we are not able now to make printed copy of a journal, and just we switched. The first issue was published only in digital format, so it's a PDF issue. So and this is because actually we couldn't do it physically. All these publishing houses were interrupted their work around the Kiev, so there no chance to get order or to make order for printing actually, and also the huge lack of financing, because all the kind of financing sources for journal are now really very limited. And actually, I would say just. I should like mention before, but main source of financing of journal is a budget of Institute of Sociology. So it's a state organization, and we somehow take money from total budget. So money which could be allocated for salaries and for wages for researchers, and actually we take this money, and people understand that journal is really important. That's why we somehow sacrifice some part of the total budget of institute for financing the journal. So we have small units of 3 persons who are involved in technical preparation. So these are paid position, but actually these three workers are really at very low wages, minimum wages of salary. Myself as a chief editor, I have no salary for doing editor-in-chief supervising. Actually, I am researcher at institute. So this is editor-in-chief of a journal is a sort of my voluntary work to institute actually. And that's why, and just one of the main points actually also is keeping the journal's website, and this is also based and is doing on the voluntary basis. So there are no paid specialists who are doing that. So it's also by our own efforts, and the researchers from institute actually on voluntary basis just renew the content of website. So this is basically the situation with the journal. But our actually aspiration, we believe with that the war in Ukraine, the war, Russian-Ukrainian war is an event of global event actually, and global interest and global focus. And it could be the chance for a journal, not only our journal, but for many journals in Ukraine, to attract quite a lot of offers, international offers, and just to give our platform for publication for many authors, particularly for papers related to the war, related to after the war period. And in a sense, we hope that our own works in our own papers on the situation in Ukraine could be and should be interested for international audience. In this way, the point of criticism for journal that we are mostly focused on local issues, it doesn't work, because in this way Ukrainian issues and issues related to European security and international security concentrated now in Ukraine is a subject of interest for many researchers, and I believe it would be a hot subject for social scientists, not only sociologists, but political scientists, for philosophers, sociologists, for social science in general, in Europe and the globe. So that's shortly what I would like to say you. Is it presentation or not? I can send you in chat the reference to our website in English page, so you can, or you already find it.
You can send it to me. I must have it somewhere, but it would be useful.
Yeah, sure. Now just it's main position of the journal, which I already mentioned. I already written well, so you can use it as a sort of additional information. That's maybe I'm just sending this in chat. This is NSTM in UA. So this abbreviation of four letters: sociology, theory, methods, and marketings.
You have already partnerships with Crossref for the DOEs, Index Copernicus, and
we have open access Copernicus, this sort of all these kind of distinguished marks of I would say regional or local level we already have. So Copernicus open access, always recognition of internationally required requirements of ethic codes of reviewing and technical say double blind review of each paper. So all these are in now in our current practice implemented. So we are just that's why we and I would say our aspiration to join for Scopus of Web of Science status was a great stimul for us, because even though we has not achieved the goal, it stimulates a lot of activity related to I would say a reforming of the journal in terms of international standards. I mean website, I mean practice of editorial board, of reviewing of paper, stuff like that. So it's also good practice, and in a sense it was stimulating demands for us as well, and some points or some perspective for further development of the journal. Definitely.
Thank you, Mr. Stepanenko. You've already answered a lot of my questions. There's still maybe a point you could lighten for us. How could we, from abroad, producers of intellectual content, help you? What do you expect?
Well, I would say that we would like maybe to have some assistance from you as expert assistance, or maybe patronage assistance. Even if some expert from your team would take a look on our website and say, you should do batch one, or you should somehow elaborate this position on your website. It would be also nice. And we would also expect maybe some help in maybe in strategy or plan, just what steps should we do, just step by step, just to achieve a Scopus standard. Of course, we have somewhere positioned, but if we would take some concrete recommendation, for example, we have general suggestions or recommendations. For example, you should expand your offership in more international in more international scope. So, but the point is, how could we do that? Just how we can promote journal, how we can spread information for potential offer to send papers for us, and it would be good help from you as an international expert to help us to spread information, which for example, some Ukrainian sociological journal would be grateful for sending your article to them, just covering, for example, issues of Russian-Ukrainian war. It would be interesting for us to hear, particularly now, to hear the point of view or perspective from foreign researchers. And maybe we would think about a special issue of a journal related to the war. Say, I would say, issue called Sociology of the War. So not a political analysis or geopolitical, but more professionally sociological perspective related to wars, where issues related to values orientation, to attitudes, how the behavior change of the people, how ordinary at the ordinary level society react to that, not only in Ukraine but in neighboring countries, because we know that the huge wave of solidarity to Ukraine where are now in Europe, including France and other countries of Europe. So a lot of migrants from Ukraine is coming to Europe. So it's not only Ukrainian problem, it's international European problem, and problem of European security, but it's involved a lot of social aspects, sociological aspects. For example, the issues of adaptation, the issues of psychological trauma or social trauma, stuff like that. So that's why we would be really interested in spreading information that, for example, Ukrainian sociological journal, Sociology, Theory, Methods and Marketings are really eager to invite or just somehow have international offers, foreign offers for submitting web papers for their journals, stuff like that. So that's one of the concrete steps which we would expect maybe, and we can, that you can help us in that. What else? I don't know. Maybe that's the main point which we would like to have. Actually, it's also mostly this expert support and advisory. And I would say this the principal direction is requirements for international broadening of scope of authorship and interest, and also maybe some technical ways how to increase the citation of a journal in international basis. And you see, this is interrelated process, because if our authorship is narrow, it has a narrow cycle, but other side of this is a low citation, because it's interrelated issues as well. So, and maybe if it would be some small grants, of course, for our teams, for at least for period of the war, it will be really very helpful as well. So I don't know how it might be realizing, or is it possible or not, but people here is really would be really grateful for any support, because in my team, for example, two women are quite old age. We are staying in Kiev, so you can imagine. So always psychological pressure on them, so on their families. So it's not easy somehow to motivate them do something to make to do their routine with journal, with reviewing of paper, with editing process, stuff like that. So it would be some helpful assistance for these people as a recognition of importance of their work actually. And if you would somehow just make some assistant to editor-in-chief as well, I would be grateful as well. So, because as I mentioned, I have no payment for all this kind of activity in journal. And just that's our main position. And actually, I think the most visible and possible is help us with promoting the journal, at least in Europe and abroad. So I can't imagine how it might achieve, but maybe through your professional network or some sort of advertisement. If you need any other information apart from our official site, maybe some couple of words of editor-in-chief as a comments to that, I would glad to add any kind of information. So that's usually what how can I see situation and how I would see your assistance and your help and cooperation with us. And actually, I would also say that for us, for Ukrainians, not only for us as a small unit, we are part of Ukrainian society, but for us, it's really very important to feel all this kind of wave and huge warm solidarity with people in the country now in difficult, challenging situations. So we are grateful for people of Europe, for many democracies in the world, because actually we see this as a battle of democracies versus authoritarian regimes in most outward and some regressive ways as you can imagine. So it's really, it's not only about Ukraine, it's definitely about values,
Indeed, looking forward to working with you in the future. This is something we could set up a partnership between journals, French and Ukrainian, and indeed bring the expertise we may or may not have in order for you to grow, for your journal to grow. I have to thank you now, Mr. Stepanenko. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for applying, and we are keeping in touch anyway.
Remy, can I send you actually a web member of our board in France with Michel Vivorka? He represents École des Sports Études and Science Socialité, Paris, France. So Monsieur Vivorka has a really great interest in cooperation, and we used to meet with him personally. He's a sociologist professionally, by the way. And that's why I would suggest maybe that he could be a major figure, sort of, great general from French side, who might support your activity in your cooperation with us. You can't, of course, overload him with some routine duties, but at least to ask to write the letters from him, it would be nice. Just Vivorka is really a great professor and a great figure in French social science landscape, actually. I would suggest to use his authority to help us as well. And I'm sure that he will be grateful in doing that, because actually we met regularly. And this was the same question which Michel frequently ask us how we can help you. But it was actually after Euromaidan, and situation was totally different. And the challenge were mostly reform, how to reform Ukraine. Because people expect a lot of changes, a lot of moves to Europeization, to European modernization of the country. But unfortunately, this move is still not so fast as we wish to see it. But at least it goes. And Michel was a really interesting expert in hearing us, in listening us, and he's really attentive. And I would say that our cooperation might be strengthened with help and assistance also with authority of Michel Weberke as well. So thank you very much, Remy. It was nice to have a chat with you, and I hope we will continue our cooperation and have a good day. Best wishes from Kiev, and really
we will continue this
it's nice, and for me it's pleasant to feel sort of support and solidarity from a colleague and professional community as well. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor, and see you soon.
Bye. Thank you.